Hello everyone and welcome to Channel 18 TV News. I'm Don Julian. In the news, by the end of the year, patrons of Celebration Plaza in the downtown area could be enjoying free internet thanks to a $10,000 Rudy Bruner Award. The city was nominated for the national award by Ian Lockwood of Tool Design Group. Ian is the design engineer behind the Downtown Revitalization Project. Among many cities nominated across the country, Sulphur Springs was named a finalist for the award. Sulphur Springs ended up taking home a silver award worth $10,000, and that funding will be used to expand the city's internet pipeline so that Wi-Fi is available to those who visit downtown. The service is expected to be installed this fall or winter. Sulphur Springs voters will be asked on November 5th to go to the polls to determine whether or not to allow economic development funds to be used to help fund improvements at Pacific Park and to build a new senior citizen center. Both projects will be receiving $1.5 million in funds from bonds. Pacific Park is also receiving $500,000 in grant funding from the Texas Department of Parks and Recreation. The city used the same approach 20 years ago to build Coleman Park.
Item number 11, discussion action on resolution number 1171 calling for a special election to be held on November the 5th, 2019 for the purpose of authorizing the Sulphur Springs, Hopkins County Economic Development Corporation to use the sale of and use tax, including any amount previously collected for special categories of projects that qualify under Section 4B of the Texas Development Corporation Act for the purpose of construction and maintenance of the Sulphur Springs Parks Department facilities, including Sulphur Springs Parks Department, Pacific Park, and Sulphur Springs Park Department Senior Citizen Center.
Yeah, we have some alternate language.
Yes, we do.
So at the last meeting, I put the idea out there. Let's do it again. Let's do what we did with Coleman Park. Use EDC money for a 4B purpose. This time for Pacific Park and for a senior center that's authorized $200,000 a year for 20 years. That will fund $3 million worth of bonds. $1.5 million to go to Pacific Park, $1.5 million for the senior center. We will also add to that another $500,000 in grant funding from Texas Department of Parks and Recreation to go with the Pacific Park money, so that will be a total of $2 million available for Pacific Park. And here it is. Here's the resolution that calls for the election to do exactly that.
And that being the one that we just handed out to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This one has some more restrictive language that makes it clear that we will be limited to $200,000 per year for 20 years.
This is how we do Coleman Park, right? This is how we pay for Coleman.
Yep.
This is exactly.
I make a motion to accept resolution number 1171 with the additional update language.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Local tire dealers will be limited in the number of scrap and used tires on their property, as well as how they may be stored after passage of an ordinance Tuesday evening by the Sulphur Springs City Council. Businesses will be restricted to 500 used or scrap tires on the ground outside of their property, and those tires must be shielded from public view and covered to prevent rainwater from getting into them. The number of tires stored in enclosed trailers will be limited to 1,500. Existing tire businesses will have 6 months to meet the new regulations.
Discussion and action on public hearing for second and final reading of ordinance number 2746, amending chapter 15 of the Sulphur Springs Municipal Code by adding Article 7, Section 15-301 through 15-308 to provide regulation of tire businesses.
Jim, would you report the changes we made?
Yeah, since first reading, this ordinance was presented on for second reading tonight. Since first reading, you'll note that I have refined the definition of scrap tire, and so that when we're out in the field and they say, oh, that's not a scrap tire, that's a used tire, we actually have an objective standard we can apply to determine whether or not scrap or used if we need to. We've limited the number of tires, each scrap or used, that can be stored on the ground outside to 500, which is a reduction from the original reading of 1,000 on first reading, and limited the number of tires that can be used, scrap tires that can be stored in enclosed trailers. And if you remember us dealing with the company that left all the tires on the site on the interstate, they had a number of tires, more than 1,500 stored in enclosed trailers or containers on that property, and we had to deal with all of those tires and getting that issue resolved out there. So this limits the number of tires that they can store, scrap tires they can store on enclosed trailers to 1,500. It requires that tires be stored, tires that are stored outside be covered so that they won't collect rainwater. It requires that storage, outside storage, be shielded from public view so that the public isn't sitting there looking at stacks of tires. They're going to have some kind of fence or screening to do that. And it requires them now to, every 2 weeks, consider vector control, which vectors in this context is mosquitoes, rodents, snakes, anything that those tires can harbor that could potentially be harmful to human health. They're going to have to check that every 2 weeks. So if their tires are collecting water, they're going to have to treat those with larvicides, those kind of things under this ordinance. And hopefully existing tire companies will have 6 months to come into compliance. And at that point, I'm hopeful that our tires, that the used tires are screened. We don't see these as we're driving on the street. We have them on Main Street. We have them on the interstate. And hopefully they won't be an eyesore anymore. And you won't get quite as many calls about them in the future as you have in the past. Staff recommends approval. And by the way, in the meantime, I went to the used tire class that was taught by the Texas Illegal Dumping Resource Center. I attended it in Mansfield about 2 weeks ago. So this ordinance that we're passing today it's not exactly the same as any other city's ordinance, but it meets the requirements that the Texas Illegal Dumping Resource Center recommends for a scrap tire ordinance. It meets those requirements, and I think will serve us well.
I move that we approve ordinance number 2746 on second reading.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
The now 3-year-old Patriot Sporting Challenge call to duty is that of the children and dependents of fallen and wounded soldiers and now first responders. Patriot Sporting Challenge newest program launching in October is called Legacy Day for Star Kids and Gold Star Kids. Let's meet Executive Director Gary Schnabel and find out more.
I'd like to personally thank you and KSST Radio for the opportunity to be on your show this morning. We at Patriot Sporting Challenge really appreciate this opportunity and what you have done to support us and our mission since its inception in 2017, and we thank you dearly for that. I think our
Pleasure.
our message this morning relates a little bit to what you just said, being patriotic around the 4th of July. I think we should be patriotic every day of our life. I'm also a retired veteran and a lucky one, and many of my cohorts were not so lucky as I was. So this is kind of my call to duty to be involved in this to some degree. For the benefit of all of you listeners, as Enola said, I am the executive director of Patriot Sporting Challenge, and we are a 501c4 and C3 tax-deductible all-volunteer organization. None of us, from myself all the way through the board of directors and our really great volunteers, take a dime in salary. Our work efforts come from the heart, not to our wallets. And I think that's very important to make a major contribution to any charitable organization. All of our net proceeds go to support the Star Kids and the Gold Star Kids through two organizations, the Folds of Honor, which many of you are probably familiar with since we've had our first and second annual event that's been held here. And it's in support of their scholarship, the programs for the legacies that have been left behind by a killed or severely wounded veteran. And we are now going to be talking about some benefit to Trinity Oaks, another charitable entity that's very closely related to our major mission. And their program and ours will be involved in an outdoor educational program for the kids, not only the veterans, but of the first responders as well. Police, fire, game, parks and wildlife, anybody that's been in support of our standard services. And if you want to learn anything more about us, and I'll mention it now, I'll be covering a lot of key areas, but you can also tune in to patriotsportingchallenge.org, which is our website, and it will have quite a bit of additional information from what I'll have time to talk about during this broadcast. Now, in answer to your question, let me start by saying all of us at Patriot Sporting Challenge are extremely excited to launch this new event and to be talking to your listeners about our newest addition to the Patriot Sporting Challenge called PSC Legacy Day. I'll explain more about this great program in a moment, but I would like to digress briefly and let all the listeners know that our successes that we've had in 2017 and 18 have allowed Lake Fork Challenge, the event we've had, given us a great opportunity to fill our mission by focusing on the families of our heroes. As many of you know, all of the net dollar proceeds we raised in 2017 and 18 went to the Folds of Honor to assist the legacies of our troops that were lost in battle or severely wounded with an educational scholarship opportunity. We will continue with this mission via our third annual program, but it will move from the fall of this year, which has been our traditional time, to the spring of 2020. To be exact, it will be held on April 17th and 18th of 2020 to make room for our new Star Kids program. We will be launching our first Star Kids annual event on October 5th of 2019 at the Links at Land's End. It will involve 40 children that will be brought into our program, ages 10 to 18.
Okay.
There will be no cost to these children, either transportation or cost of entry fee for the training event at all. These are going to be the kids that have been left behind again by that fallen first responder. There will be some Gold Star kids that will be involved in this as well that have lost their father or their mother in battle. The key with our program, and this is a very important issue, each child that is coming will be pre-assigned an accompanied mentor. And that mentor will be in attendance and involved in many aspects of what we provide in the outdoor educational program. The mentor will be chosen by the surviving parent and will be participating
throughout all of the activities of that day in terms of that outside or outdoor educational format. These formats of training and outdoor education will involve basically fishing, and for the most part we think largemouth bass fishing. If we run into inclement weather, we'll probably do something more shore-related. There's a lot of catfish and a lot of other things that these kids will thoroughly enjoy doing. So fishing, an experience in golfing and training, from driving to putting to chipping to archery and air rifle shooting. No large caliber shooting at all. All of them, in addition to that, will very importantly have an opportunity, a chance to share their experiences with other children that have experienced the same kind of problems and issues that they have growing up.
Now, I would say that usually a fallen hero, a fallen veteran, is the father of the family. But
yes,
and he may be the one with these types of skills that he would pass on had he lived or stayed fit. Sometimes, I suppose, it is the female, though.
It is, and that's a very important comment. I don't know what the percentage ratio is, but it'll be very high and slanted towards the male that has been lost in battle or as a first responder. The issue here is many times the mother has now been left behind and probably has to work. And there's minimal time where she possibly has a chance to take the child out and go fishing and go shooting. And many times she's probably not experienced in doing it. I don't mean to be demeaning to any mother. There's a lot of them that do shoot and golf and fish and all that stuff, probably better than I do. But the preponderance of those coming will be children who have lost their father. And we're hoping this also might supplement and help the mother a little bit. If we have experts on hand, and we will, they're trained teachers in shooting and fishing and in golfing, and it's just an opportunity for that child to gain some insight in how to do all of that correctly and safely, and maybe make the mother's life a little easier in most cases.
Your Patriot Sporting Challenge Legacy Day coming up in October, it sounds great for the kids. And so how did you fashion this concept?
Well, the whole issue started with, since we're moving the Lake Fork Challenge to October, we felt that we didn't want to leave this time go by that we've had in October, which is a great opportunity to support some additional opportunities for kids. So we did some searching, and we found an organization called Trinity Oaks, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about them as well, because they will become a very critical partner to us, as well as will Army Bass Anglers or Army Buck Hunters, and they've been associated with us for 2 years. Building a hopeful lifelong relationship between their mentor, the child's mentor, and other children is what this day, as I said earlier, all about. And we're very excited about joining forces with Trinity Oaks. Great organization. They have a mission that's very similar to ours, and Army Bass Anglers and Army Buck Hunters have been involved with this for a long time, and they are going to be of great value in this fun-filled educational training day. All of these groups that I've talked about have founded their organizations on the premise that participating in the outdoors is a fundamentally life-changing experience, and I think that's very important for every kid. Their mission, just like PSC's or Patriot Sporting Challenge, is to educate and benefit those left behind by fallen veterans and first responders.
Now, you've been mentioning the kids as we go through this, and it's going to benefit the kids, but these are going to be selected children, although you would like some help from our listening range here in finding these special ones.
Yes, excellent point. We are especially looking for kids in Northeast Texas. This is something we really feel strongly about doing. If there's less than 40 of these kids that we find and locate through the help of the audience and everybody else, and we do need help there, then we will reach out to counties farther out. We will reach out to Rockwall. We will reach out to Dallas-Fort Worth. Okay. We will go south to Tyler and beyond, and into eastern counties, possibly of Arkansas and Louisiana. But my first requirement and need is to focus on the kids from here.
Okay.
And we feel strongly about that. Now, these kids will need to be between the ages of 10 and 18 to meet our requirements. So please let us know so we can contact their parents with information and extend an invitation to them. If you know of someone, give me a call and I'll mention that number where you can reach me in a moment. But word has already gotten out, and I think we have somewhere close to 15 parents that have already received information about this, several of which are very interested in being involved in the program.
I have a clarification I want to ask you about. Gold Star kids are those who's lost a parent due to a battle-related death. What is a Star Kid?
Yes, you're exactly right. The Star Kids are basically a term that's been created, I think, by Trinity Oaks for the same loss of life or severely wounded conditions for first responders.
Okay.
So Gold tends to emphasize the military loss. Star Kids is emphasizing the first responders, and both will be included in our program, both categories of children.
Wonderful.
You mentioned the community. And what we're really, I want to emphasize this again, what we're really seeking is support from the community, identifying these children that we could possibly get a letter of invitation to and alert the parent to what we're doing. And many parents are going to be unaware of this. And unfortunately, getting word out is not an easy thing. What you're doing with the radio is a phenomenal help to us. And there are other means we've got to look at as well, but we're getting close to this time period. October 5 is not very far away. So of most importance is finding kids, alerting us to who we could get a letter of invitation to. And at no cost, it's a phenomenal thing for the mother. The second and very critical thing as well is anybody that would like, that could support a child or children as a sponsor. We can use those, and there are 3 levels of sponsorship. You can sponsor one child for $300, 2 for $500, and 3 for $700. And we're happy to take any one of those because we will have some costs. Although this is not meant to be significantly a fundraising event, it's meant to support and have a valuable relationship with that child at the time. There's also things like donating dollars that of any amount that can be used to food or customary stuff, so that we would provide in terms of gifts. So we would appreciate any kind of help that you can give there. And again, the program will be held on October 5, 2019 at the links at Land's End.
That is a Saturday.
That's a Saturday, yes.
And beautiful links at Land's End.
Yes, it should be very enjoyable. Well, everything will be conducted at the links of Land's End. Even the launch from the boats will all be there. Patriot Army Bass Anglers will be there with their phenomenal shrink-wrap boats, all with American red, white, and blue flags on them. The kids are going to absolutely love it. Now, I mentioned to you I would let you know where you could reach me.
Yes.
And please call me at this, my personal number, which is 903-383-2003. If you can assist us in any way, and again, you can reach us on patriotsportingchallenge.org. So I really appreciate the time I've had to introduce this to not only you, but to all of the listeners that you have at this station. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary Schnabel.
In sports, Wildcats basketball coach Clark Cipolletta is among the Sulphur Springs coaches who are offering voluntary conditioning and agility workouts for his players this summer. Tuesday morning, Coach Cipolletta had his players going over and back over a short fence that surrounds the band practice field and then doing some sprints. He says the players are lifting weights and doing running and conditioning drills several times a week. The players can also practice a couple of times a week, and They are also offered time to do some shooting on their own. Coach Cipolletta says he is getting players out of their comfort zone to make them more mentally tough. He says he wants to put the players in challenging situations where that they can push themselves and hopefully grow in those moments. Coach Cipolletta says a really good group is showing up. He says they're a hungry group and he hopes the hard work will pay off when the season starts. Coach Cipolletta says mental toughness is something players can't do without. He says players show up to repeat what they've done and hopefully go places that they haven't been before. Coach Cipolletta says hard work is what it takes to accomplish those things. And that's Channel 18 TV News. I'm Don Julian. Thank you for joining me, and so long, everybody.